Fallen.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Work. There you go.
Fallen.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Work. There you go.
Fallen.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good? Sorry that you missed it last week, but we're back. It's this week, and y'all know what it is. Super Bowl 58. As we know, San Francisco 49ers come in as the away team. Kansas City Chiefs is the hosting team, so it's going to be lit, I'm very sure, of course. As y'all see, I got my man Greg here representing Red Kingdom and Chiefs. I'm very sure People's Coach Cornelius is going to be on momentarily. And then later on in the show, of course, at the top of the hour, I think around 10 o'clock time frame, we will have visitors from the Military Basketball Association as they have an announcement that they want to put out and just chop it up with us, So, saying maybe some more on the brown ball side. But in any case, it's all about the NFL and the Super Bowl coming out the gate. Greg, what you been up to? How you been doing, brother?
Oh man, I've been good, Trey. I've been good. The season for the Chiefs was different from past years. It was different, but the destination still remained the same, and we're here for fourth time in 5 years. So feels good.
So you know what? It's funny that you said that. Of course, that it's speaking on how it's been a different year this year. Not of, I guess you could say, I don't know if we would say Chief standards, but I guess when you take in consideration, like you said, fourth time in 5 years, it has been a staple for the Chief fandom and their city. Were you anytime during this season a little skeptical about it, and why was your skepticism there?
Christmas Day, yeah, I was very skeptical. We did the show after that next day, and we were just like, this may not be it this year, and only because of how the Raiders just came into our house and just punked us. And we hadn't seen that all season. The Chiefs would lose games where, okay, Tony drops a pass, Tony lines up offside, or, some, weird stuff happens. And you can kind of let those things go. It's like, okay, well, if you clean that up, you can end up, winning. But the way that we lost to the Raiders on Christmas, that was when the doubt really creeped in. And but we kept saying the formula for the Chiefs was going to be different. It can't be Pat. Hey, Pat, throw it 40, 45 times. That wasn't going to get us to where we needed. It was going to be running the ball, passing maybe 20, 25 times. And realizing that this defense is really good. And Pat finally realizing that field goals and punts are okay. they're better than turnovers. So just, and, if people want to say that's game managing or, whatever the case, that's fine. But he realized that, hey, this is the best defense I've had since I've been here. Why not let them go ahead and carry us, and I don't have to wear this Superman cape.
So in that, you did mention Tony Scantling. So what was it that you think clicked for them, in which Pat decided finally to, because we all know it's I had a post not too long ago asking the question in reference to, is Travis Kelce the greatest tight end in this era, 10,010, and to present, and a lot of people say yes, he is outside of Grunk, yada yada yada. So obviously, of course, we look at it. I have my own thoughts and opinions in reference to certain things, especially like talking about Travis Kelce in the playoffs. In all actuality, Travis Kelce has been the only staple that has been there for Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs in the playoffs. Hence the reason the I'm not gonna say it's inflated because he still had to make the catches and get the yards and all that type of stuff. But if you get fed enough, you're going to become gluttony. You're gonna pick up some weight. So, but what I see and what I think is, which is going to be one of the main reasons why I particularly didn't want to see Kansas City again when it comes to the Super Bowl is one Rasheed Rice, who finally became similarly a go-to for Patrick Mahomes as far as stretching the field, but Isaiah Pacheco is
Yeah.
he pounds it out. Maybe he
Mhm.
just pounds it out. He punishes the defense and he continues to he doesn't pick up the yards, but he picks up key yards in which continues to extend drives and be uh be a thorn in the side of the defenses. When did you think the offense, Andy Reid, and decided like, hey, this is our new identity?
When they played the Bengals this season, in that game, we got down early. I believe we were down 17-7. And it kind of started off a little rocky. But in that game, Andy was like, look, we're going to start running the ball more, and we don't need Pat to do everything. And they kind of used that formula from that game, from that Bengals game, all the way till now. And it's been uh, it's been different. You know, of course, past seasons we're used to them scoring 30, 35 points a game and all these video game numbers. But this is the defense that we've been wanting for the past 5, 7 years. And so now that we finally have it, it's just, I think Andy finally realized, like, let's just, lean into our defense more. There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't mean that Pat isn't a Hall of Fame quarterback because he's not doing video game numbers. It doesn't mean that it's something wrong with Andy because it's not video game numbers. So, and honestly, as a Chiefs fan, it feels good to have this good of a defense because it had been so long. This defense hasn't been this good. You got to go all the way back to the 90s to when we had a defense that was this good. So it's like, it's different, like said, but it's different ways to get to the ultimate goal, and we were able to find that.
So you say, like you just talked about this defense.
Mhm.
Initially, you wasn't sure if Jones was going to be a part of this defense. The defense is fairly young in some action in the instance. So, do you think that adds to, or do you think that is a positive or a negative in this game? To where, I mean, true enough, a couple of them are holdovers from continue to be holdovers from last year's championship run, but then you have a few that aren't. So, do you think that that youth movement in which Kansas City has on defense, which kind of like adds to the fact that they can get around, move around the field. Jones, as a wily veteran, continue to push up the field. Do you think that's going to potentially be Achilles' heel for them versus the 49ers offense?
No, I mean it's enough vets that have been there. Chris Jones, Karlaftis was on the team
For last
last
year?
year. Mick, Nick Duffy was on the team last year. Justin Reed. So it's enough guys there. Bolton as well. They've been there, so they kind of know the motion of how this game goes. So I think we'll be fine. What I've been trying to get people to understand the past 2 weeks is I know San Francisco has all these weapons. Have Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. That offense is really good. CMC, but I just feel like this is the best defense the 49ers have played since they played the Ravens. You know how Brock Purdy looked in that game. So I feel like Brock Purdy, he can look good against average defenses. Not trying to make the Packers and Lions defenses sound like they were horrible, but they were, average defenses. And so when it comes to those good defense, and we kind of saw it during the regular season for Purdy against Cleveland, he was okay in that game, and then Baltimore, he was not so okay. So, but us having, I feel like we have two of the best corners in the league, and they should be able to hold their own. It's going to be up to our defensive line to be able to win the day against the 49ers offensive line. And I feel like the Chiefs defensive line will be able to do that. Now, that doesn't mean that Brock Purdy is going to get sacked every other play. What that means is I feel like the Chiefs defensive line will be good enough to be able to get pressure on Purdy to where they can, if they don't get the sack, they can at least speed him up. And if you're able to do that, then it's going to be a great day for the Chiefs.
And see, and listening to that and hearing that, I can see it and visualize it because, I mean, let's just be honest. Some of the passes that was thrown, as I told, I was talking to Cornelius the other day. I was telling him, I was like, some of this is definitely a situation to where Brock Purdy didn't make some of the passes that he should have made during that time frame. Excuse me, like the Brandon Ayuk tip drill, like that was an interception.
Yeah,
honestly, you know what I'm saying? That's what it was, and it brought back visions of Jimmy Garoppolo overthrowing the receiver, in which could have been the game-winning touchdown that would have put us over and gave us our sixth Super Bowl already. So looking at that type of stuff and hearing that, and now it puts me in my mind like, oh, here we go again. But if Brock is able to calm that down and utilize his weapons, put the ball where he is, and the game becomes is going to get played a different way. Cornelius, what's going on there, Coach?
What's up with it? You got it.
Oh.
How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good.
Yeah, I can hear. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So we was just talking about Greg, as he is the podcast host for Red Kingdom, right?
Yeah, Red Kingdom.
Red Kingdom, Kansas City Chiefs. So we was just having the words and conversations and asking about the season. So what do you feel? And feel free, Coach, to chime in. What do you think is the X factors in this game?
For me, it's like I've been saying all year long about the 49ers. This game, Super Bowl, is going to be more about the players, of course, but coaching. Coaching to me, if Ken Shanahan get out of his own way to go ahead and let his team win the game. That's it. Like, talent-wise, the 49ers are more talented. Hands down, they're the more talented team. But on the other side of things, don't underestimate the Chiefs' defense. That defense can play. And you know what Patrick Mahomes can do. I am going with the Chiefs, though. I'm telling you now. Like, I'm going with the Chiefs, and that's only because they got Patrick Mahomes.
All my
And I don't
life.
feel like Shanahan is gonna coach the offensive game. I don't feel like he's gonna coach the offensive game that he needs to coach. We saw that the past 2 weeks. We saw that. I mean, we saw that the past, like a few weeks ago that they come out with a different offense. So if he stick to his bread and butter, Christian McCaffrey early.
So I give you that, Greg. What do you think the X factors is in this game?
For the Chiefs, don't turn the ball over. Don't turn the ball over. That's been the key to this winning streak of the Chiefs, not turning the ball over. But also for the Chiefs, running the football. Like I said, being balanced. I'm pretty sure the 49ers on the defensive side, they're going to double Kelsey, make sure to take him out of the game. So if that does happen, we got Rashee Rice. And I have a good feeling Rashee Rice is going to have a great night against the 49ers. I don't care if Ward is on him or not. It's not going to matter. Because and Ward has some little slick things that he said during the media night, but that's okay. And I feel like Rice will be able to hold his own.
So as I look at it, I think what is going to be key is, especially if Tony is playing, he's going to be the make or break, because what everyone's going to expect is to see the Tony from the beginning of the seasons, or the Tony for why they said he was out, or how Andy Reid and company decided to find ways to keep him off the field. If Tony is on the field and he is being problematic for the 49ers, that's going to be the X factor, because the idea is, oh yeah, he's going to have, the expectations is he might have one of those bad games in which is going to play into our favor. But they're expecting that, and then he's playing out, saying, like you said, Rashee, if he starts to add, if he plays now, he adds to the issues and problems, because already got to hold Kittle, already have to try to hold not Kittle, I'm sorry, Kelsey, gotta try to hold Rice. Additionally, you start looking at Pacheco. That's not in. If McKinnon gets to play, he can be problematic. Hilaire might cause issues. So I mean, there's things there, like Cornelia said, the 49ers might have more weapons, might be more talented, but how the deployment of that talent happens for Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, one thing I've always said, you can have an ideal quarterback in the mediocre receiving core, and you can win games. And they just need to be put in the right places, and pop up at the right time. And now you have basically 49er linebackers all over the field chasing. You have to utilize the sideline to sideline. We're short because we don't have Hufanga, which made a huge difference. Losing him was it was gut wrenching for me, because I really like his game. And then, I mean, our front four. Let's hope that it was reported that after the Detroit game, the defense was lit into, because they went back and watched the tape, and via that tape, it showed all the deficiencies on the defense, where players not playing fully, and like, of course, that sparked the firestorm that Young will be gone because he lacks he lacks a motor or he lacks the efforts, and it showed in some of the games with the backside pursuits and people running and things like that. So it's like if all you got to do is take out Bosa on the front line to make it effective, not no one holding the edges on the opposite side, run from Bosa, to which puts emphasis on the second level, on the next level, then everyone's going to do that. And that's basically what Detroit did. And I mean, it didn't work out in state for other reasons, but I mean, you don't want that to happen with a Pacheco, and then bringing up the rear with play actions. Now you're freezing out. Now you got Kelsey finding pockets while the defense is chasing around, so it could be all kind of problems. So that's why I foresee. But just like Cornelius is saying, I had to think long and hard on whether I was going to let the naysayers make me believe that San Francisco couldn't be victorious because they're talking about Brock Purdy and his inefficiencies. Like, I think we're good. I think I think next year I can be saying I can change it to a quest for 7.
Now, Trey, do you believe Brock Purdy is a top 10 quarterback?
So so I had to. What's good, Applewhite? What's going on, brother? I see y'all pulling up in out there in Barbados. I know you and wifey having a good time. So what I would say this, right?
Mm.
For what he has done in 2 years, I would say yes, based off of that. Like, this his second year. It's his second year in the league, and what no one was talking about is the simple fact that he's in his second consecutive. He went through his second consecutive NFC Championship, and he's in his first Super Bowl in 2 years. So based off that, I think he has something to give. Now, if we simply start talking about overall and stuff like that, maybe the top 10 is maybe not the best position to put him in. For then, like Applewhite said, for this year, he's probably a top 10. Like, we got to really sit up and put that perspective. Like, when he took over for the 49ers, is halfway through the season last year, he continued to pace. Honestly, look at it. He hadn't lost a regular season game until he lost to Cleveland this year. Dating back from last year, he only lost the NFC Championship game last year, and then let's just be honest, he never really got a chance to play because by the first quarter, due to injury, he was done. He came back in, but he wasn't throwing any passes. He's basically just there to receive the ball and hand it off to Christian McCaffrey. So with all that being said, I think for this year, as well as taking consideration what he did last year and the fact that he's a 2-time NFC been in the NFC Championship game twice, he can kind of claim a top 10 at this point, in my opinion. Cornelius, you think so? Top 10? Brock Purdy? I don't know if he can hear us. Can you hear us, Cornelius?
Yeah, I can hear you, but
okay.
Top 10, yeah, all day. But they try to put him in top 5. I don't think he top 5. Well, considering who can you really put ahead of him, everything. I like everything y'all was saying as far as Purdy, but really, for me, Purdy is not an anomaly, but he one of he one of a few that's doing what he's doing. Well, probably the only one at quarterback position, right? Mr. Irrelevant last year, NFC Championship game, this year's Super Bowl. So
yeah.
I mean, who's done that? Like who's ever done that? So I think you got to be top 10.
So what's funny if what you saying, Mr. Irrelevant last year, NFC Championship game, Then this year, Super Bowl Super Bowl. It's a progression. It's definitely showing progression. So come next year, let's say if he doesn't, if he doesn't get the Super Bowl this year, the only thing left for him to do is to win a Super Bowl. And then, like most say, if you do it once, it's sometimes it's luck, or you know what I'm saying, it happens. Come back and do it again. To where from when you look at it from that aspect, he has two more. It's like going through his progressions while he's trying to get his his passing windows. If he can't get the Super Bowl this year, he needs to get one, of course, because I'm very sure going there. I think Cornelius talked about it before. Buffalo went to 4 consecutive Super Bowls. And you know what I'm saying, and he does, and I asked him, we got talked about it the other day, and he's like, who gets praised for getting there? You got to win it. So you don't want to be that quarterback, even though you've done it from a Mr. Irrelevant standpoint. You don't want to be that quarterback or be that player on that team who's like, oh, I've been there, we've gotten there, we just had this happen or this happened. So if he can't get it this year, I think it's fair to say in his progression window, winning it next year is sufficient, or not yet next year after, but it's going to really come when when he has to prove, just like anyone else, that you could win it multiple times as opposed to the one time. We have a lot of teams that's won it one time. We have a couple of teams that has never won it. But I mean, I think that's where it comes at in his line of progression.
I just think Brock is more of a system quarterback. He got the right coach in Kyle. But if he switched, if he was the Chiefs quarterback this season with the weapons that Pat has this season, would the Chiefs still be in the Super Bowl? I would say no. Not with Brock. It takes a special kind of quarterback to be able to still get to the Super Bowl when your weapons are dropping everything. So, but that's a different standard also. I mean, Pat is, up here, and Brock, he's just, starting, but Brock is in the right system, and he has the right coach for him.
And I give that, but like you said, a lot of people say he's a system quarterback. The 49ers have, for the most part, been have had system quarterbacks in the last couple of years, maybe except for Colin Kaepernick. Even though he had a different type, he might have been system because he was in a different type of system. Shanahan's, Harbaugh's initial system. So, I guess it works. You know what I'm saying? West Coast offense, staple. So, it ends up working. So I see Applewhite asked, did the 49ers overachieve this year? I don't think they overachieved. I think they basically were exactly where they needed to be, just like last year. I know I continue to say it, but we would never know what would have been had Brock played a full game versus the Eagles last year, although the Eagles was a little bit more potent than what they were this year. And then, of course, he continues with Purdy, Reed's defense as well, makes quick decisions, and is a winner. So he might be a winner to the standpoint of where he has done in 2 years. The defense. So I think, you know what? When I look at it, and y'all please let me know what y'all think. Brock Purdy is Patrick Mahomes when they had, or even that, we can even say Patrick Mahomes. We can say Matthew Stafford. When you have weapons and you have people that can get into certain spots and get out of spots and make themselves relevant, anyone's going to read defenses. All you got to do is be able to get it there and put it there. And that's what the San Francisco 49ers have. So it's not like, saying the term, get it from the dirt, get it from the mud. Brock Purdy hasn't had to experience that for the most part. In-state is, honestly, when you look at it, we struggled when he was without Debo during the during the regular season, hence those 3 losses that we accumulated at that time frame. And then, of course, we struggled when he was without Debo. That time during in Green Bay, but we was able to basically become resilient and persevere at in-state. I always say there was a problem when you talk about you have the elements and that's playing, that's an added player in a sense. So it made it a different, but it made it different for both teams. So when he doesn't have his full arsenal, it's like he's just saying it's like you going into battle. You got your flak vest and everything on. You got your war supply of 7 magazines, and then you find out 2 of the magazines ain't loaded, and so now like, oh snap, I'm not full at 220 210. I'm basically sitting at so much less, so it's like I only got 180 rounds. What I'm going to do if I have to sit up and get deeper into a firefight? So that's saying. So that's one of the things. So, you say, would you trade Purdy for an average quarterback? It's a system. So I know who I would not trade for, which we're going to get into later. But he's some systematic. But I mean, I'm cool with Purdy. Like I did sit up and say, I thought.
See, I don't like. I was gonna say this is why I don't mind this system label, but I don't like the system label at the same time because it gives you the impression that, let's put it this way, the 49ers would not have won. They would not have won or be here in the Super Bowl if they had Zach Wilson. If they put Zach Wilson in that offense, they would not win. I mean, so it's more. So to me, it's more than just a system sometimes, right? I mean, I know they've had a lot of quarterbacks in the past, but we got to be careful when we start talking systems and stuff, because like I said, Zach Wilson, you couldn't. Do you think Baker Mayfield would thrive like Purdy's thriving in that offense, no matter what the weapons are? I mean, and this year, Baker Mayfield had one of his best seasons, if not his best season. Mm-hmm. And it's still yielded them 9-8 or something like that. Like, so I think it's a difference. I think Purdy. I think Purdy top 10. He one of the best. Like he one of the better quarterbacks that you're gonna find, right? Like, think about the stuff you just said that he overcame to win some games. You still got to make the plays, whether it's
correct.
If they lucky. Whatever you want to call them, you got to make the plays. Josh Allen didn't make those plays. That's why he's not there, right? I mean, you feel what I'm saying? Lamar Jackson didn't make enough plays to get there. Purdy was somehow able to make the plays. You got to give him credit. You got to give him credit for that. Like, he made the plays. He pulled off the comeback 2 weeks in a 2 weeks in a row. He pulled off the comeback. That's hard to do. I mean, think about this. The great Aaron Rodgers got 1 Super Bowl, and how many times he been beat in the NFC Championship game in his own building.
Yeah.
So I think it's more than just a little. I agree with a system. Shanahan got a good system. I agree with that part, but I think Purdy. I think Shanahan found a diamond in the rough in Purdy that can actually run that system and actually bring them back, because a couple of years ago, the 49ers wasn't coming back to beat you from behind. Like with a Garoppolo, they wasn't coming back to beat you from behind. They always had to play with the lead a little bit. I mean, now that Purdy can prove that they can come back from behind. So I think that makes a whole lot of difference to run the system more efficiently than the last person.
And like you said, it was true. Like at one point prior to us getting that victory in the playoffs, we were 30. We was 0-30, and when going into the fourth quarter, behind. And like I said, perseverance, resiliency, Brock Purdy twice, not once, but twice at the time in which it was needed the most, he persevered. So I definitely give it that. Like, I'm not complaining in any way, form, or fashion about him being our quarterback, in which I was cool with Garoppolo to an extent, but like you said, we all know Garoppolo, when you put that pressure on him in that aspect, he didn't execute the way it was supposed to. Again, San Francisco, no one really talks about. San Francisco is almost no different than Kansas City we've been here the last couple of years. We haven't been in the Super Bowl, but we've been in NFC championships, or we've been right there on the cusp, and that's been under different quarterbacks. Garoppolo, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, Colin Kaepernick, it's a couple other ones in which I can't think. Mullins, so Beathard. So, but in state is Brock Purdy is, I think, top 5. I mean, he's top 10 at this point within that time frame. It's fair to say that because it's 10 years and he's in the second NFC Championship game. I mean, he went to his second NFC Champion game and he's in his first Super Bowl, and he might win his first Super Bowl after the fact.
Now, I will say, if he gets down 24-7 on Sunday, he's not coming back on this defense. No way.
I said that.
It's too good.
I said you can't get
And
down.
we haven't blown the lead all year. So
So I think the only way that possibly happens is
you want to talk about adding run and slide into the game.
I think the only way that happens is if the defense stands up. If we have a defensive game, if it's a defensive game and then the momentum shifts, then I think you put the hands of the team in which build the momentum. So if any team comes down 24-7 or something like that, and both defenses are standing up, it's going to be hard. It's going to have to be one of those defenses is going to have to break with, like, let's be honest again, it took an anomaly of a type play for us to get the momentum, and then we didn't relinquish the momentum, and then we kept, then there was a shift to where now it was a problem. I think if that play doesn't happen to Brandon Ayuk, we might not be sitting here talking about. I wouldn't sit here be draped in 49er apparel, talking to y'all. I'll be in the regular something else, and I will be talking about how Detroit has made it to the dance and how Matthew Stafford can do it in Detroit, but here comes Jared Goff, who is now for the second Super Bowl. I think we'll be having a different conversation, but we aren't, and I'm glad and grateful for that. So this is so gut-wrenching, but let's talk about it. Last night's NFL honors, in which some people was deserving. Like, all right, let's get it. Everyone was deserving, right? Everyone was deserving for for what they got. But did everyone deserve? Is what I'm talking about. I already know Coach is going to say yes, because I clearly and concisely don't see how CJ Stroud got Offensive Rookie of the Year, but it happened. And then just in fine fashion, no other reason it shouldn't. Then, of course, who Will Anderson gets Defensive Rookie of the Year, becoming the fourth teammates to sweep the award in the NFL history. Script writers. Lamar Jackson receives MVP, the league MVP, which I could get it, but what I didn't get. Oh, well, I guess I get that too. He didn't. He was almost the second unanimous, the first unanimous, two-time unanimous winner. However, someone gave one first place vote to Josh Allen, and which I was about to say, how is that? But when you look at it, Josh Allen did go from what we was looking at when we first talked about Kansas City to being in the playoffs and pushing for a championship game. So I guess I can get it. Besides that, I think everyone else was key, except for maybe Myles Garrett. But I mean, what did you guys think of the honors? Was everybody did everyone deserve?
I started, and I just say it was no surprise. Like Stroud was the Rookie of the Year, and I've been saying that. I was saying that during the season. It's a quarterback league, man. So, and who gets the wins or losses? I think that's what a lot of people forget about, right? Like you don't ever say a wide receiver. You don't ever say T.O. won this many games or lost that many games or Randy Moss won. You always say the quarterback, right? When they talk Brady, they say, oh, he got this many wins and that many wins. When they talk Mahomes, you say, oh, he won this many games and that many games. You never do that for anybody else. C.J. Stroud took a team that was 3-14 or whatever, and they went 10-7, and they won their division or whatever. Like, so I knew he was going, like, he should be the high favorite. Like, all the pressure is on the quarterback. So the quarterback, you got to give the award to the quarterback that did the most. He did the most as a rookie with that squad that he had. I know Puka Nacua had a great year. Laporta had a great year. It's some players that had great years, but not like that. Now, Will Anderson, that's another story. I mean, because I mean, I don't know. For me, I thought Joey Porter Jr. was my favorite, but I like the secondary, and I thought that he played good in his first year out there in Pittsburgh, shutting down a corner. So he would have been my pick for Defensive Player of the Year, but I can see how they gave it to Will Anderson because he did lead the rookies in sacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he led all the rookies in sacks. So yeah, I can see how they did that, but as far as everything else, it stayed constant the way that it should. It evened itself out like the way that it should be. We can't keep saying that all the pressure is on the quarterbacks and then the quarterbacks not be rewarded for like, hey, they gonna get the wins and losses. Nobody else, no defensive player is gonna get wins and losses. It's gonna be the quarterback. You talk about quarterback records, whether they got a winning record or a losing record. So Stroud's that guy. You don't know what he gonna do next year, but this year you got to take your hat off to him and the rest of the Houston Texans, the whole squad. Because remember, I was bashing them. I'm from Houston, and I was like, they ain't gonna do nothing, but they did. They surprised everybody with what they did. On the other side of things, I know Trey, you biased. I know you would have liked to see McCaffrey or somebody get something in there, but
no. So it was fine. McCaffrey got Offensive Player of the Year.
In order for that to happen, like Lamar Jackson, Lamar, he should have got that. But as far as MVP, Lamar Jackson was MVP, man. Like he was MVP of the best team.
So let's be honest.
Like that's plain and simple, the best team.
Has San Francisco beat the Ravens, Lamar would not have been the MVP.
No, he still would have been. He still would have.
No, he wouldn't.
I don't feel like Brock Purdy was the most valuable player during the season, during the regular season.
No, he wouldn't have.
Yeah, Jackson still would have won that.
I think had the Ravens been beaten, had Lamar Jackson been beaten by the 49ers, I wouldn't say Brock Purdy wouldn't have got it. I think it would have went to Christian McCaffrey. So they did, but because when you look at it, like Lamar Jackson won his second MVP, 27 years old, second MVP, but he was outside the top 10 in the majority of statistical standpoints. So it's like basically he was just the best player on the most dominant team at the time in the regular season. So it kind of becomes a situation where it's like what is the standard bearing for the award? But in state is 50 reporters or journalists that report, and based on what they perceive to be the eye test is what garners the situation. And so 49 people said Lamar Jackson was top tier. One person decided that was the case for Josh Allen, and then it trickled down from there. Christian McCaffrey led in the second place votes. Him and Dak Prescott actually flip-flop on second and third place votes. Christian McCaffrey got 17 second place votes, 13 third place votes. And then it was the other way, 13 first place votes for Dak Prescott, second place votes, and then 17 third place votes for him. So it was what it was. So it was in succession. It was Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Josh Allen in the voting. So, but I mean, in any case, it's cool.
Man, no.
Go ahead.
As a Cowboy fan, no Cowboy should be mentioned. I said a Cowboy fan, no Cowboy should be mentioned.
Yeah.
No Cowboy should be mentioned. Stop it. Stop it.
And I mean, I know Dak had the numbers to, be up there, but to me, it's like until he starts winning more playoff games, even if he can have the same exact season next season, he should not win no MVP until he wins some more playoff games.
I'll give you that. I can get down with that.
I mean, I agree. I agree with well, because I look at it like, for me, it's the games that you lose to. Like, we got thrashed by the 49ers. He didn't even play good. Like the games that he got thrashed by the 49ers. We got thrashed by the Bills. I mean, when you head to head with these teams, we lost that one in Philly and people kept talking about it was close. But what I'm saying is that when you playing games in the regular season and they supposed to count a whole lot, like, you got to show up in those games, and Dak don't even show up in those. So I can't even say you in the MVP race for real when you getting ran off the field in those meaningful games. Like, not even close.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm good with Stroud winning the Rookie of the Year. He had a great season. He changed him and Ryan's the coach there. They changed the culture, and it's hard to change from a losing culture to a winning culture. It usually takes time, but they did it in the first year, and but they did, because I was thinking they was going to win no more than 4 games this season, and they ended up winning 10. So and they won their playoff game. So awesome season. Stroud, he's gonna be a force. He's gonna be up there with the Josh Allens and Burrows and Pat as the years go on.
I mean, I guess I give it that. So I know in a few minutes we're going to have the NBA on right quick because they're going to have they have an announcement to announce. But as we're waiting for them to come on, what do you guys think of this year's Hall of Fame class? Laden full of defensive players. Patrick Willis, of course, I'm going to mention him first. Finally gets the opportunity, well deserved. Julius Peppers, C. Carmichael from a senior class. Andre Johnson does finally get a nod. Devin Hester gets in from the as a kick returner, which is in predominantly kick returner or punt returner, holding the record currently. So is everyone, usually we have the conversation of what are they doing? Why is this the case? In this case, do you think everyone is deserving of their position in the Hall of Fame for this year, this current enshrinement class? 7 players: Julius Peppers, Dwight Freeney, Patrick Willis, Devin Hester, Randy Gotteshear, Steve McMichael, and Andre Johnson.
Yeah. I feel like those. Patrick Willis was a dog, man. I remember when he played. he was so good. But yeah, everybody on that list, they are Hall of Famers for sure.
Cornelius, you have that look on your face?
Well, Well, to me, Andre Johnson would have been like on the fence to me. I mean, I loved his game when he played. He was a good receiver. But um, just looking at the landscape of receivers right now, like I don't know, those numbers ain't gonna look so well. His numbers ain't gonna look well compared to some of these other dudes that's coming a little bit later on. So it's like um, to
My
stack up,
sentiments is
but that
actually
always happens, right? Like if you look at the Randy Moss numbers and the TO numbers, and you look at Art Monk Hall of Fame, right? You start looking at some Steve Largent, you start looking at some of those numbers, and you say, well, like I know the game changes real fast, the transitions are quick, so yeah, I'm on the fence. I'm not mad about Devin Hester. I told you he belonged in there. It's good to see Hester get in there as a return man. Um, he had all the records when he retired. Now, I think Cordell Patterson have passed him up now or whatever. But other than that, Devin Hester, and Dwight Freeney, that one spin move, man. That's all I can think about is that one spin move. That spin move to get to the quarterback. Dwight Freeney. I forgot exactly how many sacks he had, but I know he had impacts for them winning a Super Bowl. Take him off that defensive line. I don't think the Colts would be as strong as they was. So hats off to him. But now I got a question. Like Bashir, like who? It's like some of them I don't even know. Like to be honest, like what year did they play?
Bashir
Like
was he,
um,
Bashir was from like 1957 or something like that earlier, same time frame. But he was a league MVP. He was a league defensive player of the year. He was the anchor for the Denver Broncos Orange Crush defense. So he was the staple. He was the anchor for that defense back in that time frame. So I don't know why it took this long for him to get in. But I mean, you just talking about Freeney. Freeney's 18th on the sack list, 125.5 sacks in over the course of a 7-time Pro Bowler. Of course, like you said, his signature move, that spin move for a man of his size. Uh, and then he had, of course, 8 campaigns with at least 8 yards, with 8 forced fumbles. Going to Reggie Johnson, as we were just talking about, not Jackson, Andre Johnson. I was the same sentiment, similar to what you're saying. 14,185 yards receiving and 70 receiving touchdowns. Like you just mentioned, Steve Largent. Steve Largent was one of the first to 100, or to get to or so. It's like when you look at that 14 seasons for Andre Johnson, uh, in which he played all in Houston except for the 2. So I can see your sentiment is like, are we starting to get to this point to where it's like mediocrity is I'm not gonna say mediocrity, but when you measure it against your fellow the people that you have to go up against, what's the stick? What are we talking about here compared to who he beat out, Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt?
Well, Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt played with better quarterbacks than Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson always had trash quarterbacks.
That's true.
I mean, Reggie Wayne was very, very good. Torrey Holt very good, and I believe both of them will get in one day. But would I have put either one of them over Andre Johnson? Yeah, I mean, their numbers are better, but I'm not mad. I'm not mad that Andre Johnson made it.
So I completely get the
That's an
understanding.
excellent point. I like that point about the quarterbacks.
Yeah, he never had. If Andre Johnson had a Kurt Warner or a Peyton Manning, he probably would have got those 100 touchdowns.
So, of course, with that being said, that brings up the potential for next year. Of course, headliners being Adam Vinatieri is going to be he's going to be eligible. Marshawn Lynch, Eli Manning, which was one of the things I was going to ask: is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer? As he said in his freestyle, he the only one that beat the GOAT twice in the Super Bowl. So I mean,
No,
is is that
no.
is that going to be enough to get Eli into the Hall of Fame along his brother? Luke Kuechly is going to be eligible, as well as the names in which we just mentioned that didn't get in this past one. Like the whole, I mean, Tory and Reggie Wayne, uh, Terrell Suggs is going to be eligible. So Morton Anderson, so it's like, where would it end up? Who would be first round balloters of this group? I think I don't even know. I was about to say I think Marshawn Lynch gets in, but maybe not. I mean, his numbers don't. He's a polarizing person, as you know, saying as far as saying how he's been marketed since he's left. But do y'all think is any first round balloters in this upcoming list?
Eli shouldn't be no first ballot. No, let's stop with this because this is why. Okay, he beat Tom twice, and so okay, one was a lucky helmet catch. Okay, when Wes Welker dropped the pass, and the other one, but okay. So, but besides those two Super Bowls, Eli Manning was average in the regular season. I just don't see how he's a first ballot Hall of Fame, and we're only saying that because he won two Super Bowls. To me, for you to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, you at least have to be above average during the regular season.
Yeah,
I get it.
I agree.
I mean, if that's the
I
case,
agree. I don't think Eli Manning.
oh no, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say if that's the case, then let Trent Dilfer and whoever else won a Super Bowl get in the Hall of Fame.
Right. I don't think Eli's body of work, but I think he right there. I don't know. Like, I think they just go because of the Manning name. I think that'll be the reason why he a first ballot Hall of Fame. Other than that, no. Um, even though those two Super Bowl wins were impressive, but you got to remember they was like 9-7 one of those years or both of those years, right? like they wasn't all that coming into it. So yeah, but I think everybody, I don't know, like Vinatieri. I think Vinatieri is the only one that's a true first ballot on that you name. Like Vinatieri as a kicker, I think he automatic Hall of Fame.
No doubt. So real quick, a quick break. We have a cohort from the Military Basketball Association. Of course, someone is doing live, say from in a certain area that's known greatly and hugely for glitz, glamour, fame, and everything. What's going on, Coach H, Commissioner Myers? How y'all doing, gentlemen?
What's going on? What's going
Doing
on?
good. How are you?
Greetings from Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah, everyone can't do it like you know what? That's why he's the commissioner. What's going on, sir? So I hear that there's some great things going on in the Military Basketball Association. What can y'all tell us about that?
Well, first of all, thanks for letting us, break some of this news, on your show. You guys have been doing great. I've been following everything. I seen the Timor special, and you guys
Uh-huh.
had those guys on. I think there's a lot of excitement in military basketball, and we're proud to say, we hear the guys, we hear the athletes, we know what they want, and there's a time and place for everything, and so we get a lot of slack sometimes for our rules because we do want installation pure basketball. When we start talking about crowning a world champion, bring teams over from Germany. Um, it's important that what we do is for that military community. But we do hear you. We know that different, you know, military athletes, want to play in an open experience, an open tournament. And so we're proud to announce today that the Military Basketball Association and Forever Warriors thanks to Tiffany Orner, who's done a lot of great work in the nonprofit space, that we will have NBA Summer League. NBA Summer League will be an open tournament. DoD ID card holders, um, do what you want. Not like, do what you want, but, obviously, if you have a DoD ID card in July 12th through the 14th, 18s, we're going to have an open tournament. We're going to try and do things the right way, and let you guys compete over the summer, so that you're able to have that experience of an open tournament. So that's kind of, we were thinking about doing it. It's been in the works for about 7 or 8 months. When I spoke to uh, Tiffany from Forever Warriors, she's like, absolutely, this is a great idea. Obviously, I can't do anything by myself. So I went and talked to Ace about it, and Ace, he's kind of the executor and the NCO part of the NBA, and we were able to put together 2 events over the summer where guys can play however they like. And so the first 8 teams, I'll let Ace talk about the teams, but July is pretty much kind of gone, and now we're looking for the next eight programs. I know it says CUSNBL and PWNBC, but it's one of those things where you get it while it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
So check this out. Couple of things before I turn it over to Ace. Lodging is been taken care of for those 8 teams that are coming in. The specifics will reside with Ace, but and the entry fee is $100. That's non-refundable, but it's $100 entry fee. That is the lowest registration fee outside of free that there's ever been in at least in our organization, and that I can think of. And so we're really proud and excited to announce that it's an open tournament, and we're looking forward to see who shows up. It's in Fort Walton Beach. The actual lodging facility is on the beach. And I'll let Ace, I'll let you take it from here. But this is just great work from our team. And thanks for letting us come on and announce this on your show.
Oh, no problem. Definitely. Coach, what's going on? What can you tell us? You're on mute.
Okay. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2. Hey, so definitely great news. As you see, I'm driving from Columbus back to Atlanta. So as Mike said, great event for the summer. So what we did was we sat down and kind of looked in the past 3-4 years, and we noticed that a lot of players, not everybody's able to take leave and do come up with some in an open roster. And now we have July and August covered with a tournament in each month, and basically once the August tournament is done, which is mid-August, it's time to for bases to start doing their tryouts again before the league starts again for the next 9 months. So we kind of got everything sewed up. 12 months out of the year, we got military basketball being offered all the way around the clock now. Back in November, early November, before I went to Dallas-Fort Worth, I actually got a chance to go down and do the actual terrain walk with Coach JP from Herbert Field, their chief master sergeant from the sports facility, and their fitness director, and they agreed to the idea. They loved it, and they gave us their facility for both events on both months. Basically, they're going to be the host of the pool play portion, and the 2 teams that come out of those pools will get to play at Northwest Florida University right there in Niceville at the
Okay. So Fort Walton, Florida, of course, another area. Fort Walton, Florida is really starting to get the when it comes closer and closer to the summer. the military basketball scene is still really starting to take shape in Florida. Of course, we're having the AAU Open tournament going on up in Orlando earlier in the month of July. Now we're going to have the another open roster tournament going on, and then in August, and then at that point you start and get ready for the teams to come up to start producing teams and stuff like that. So, is there any particulars when we look at, like you said, building other teams or the rosters or anything like that, or is it just specifically as it says? Valid military ID card for active duty reserves, National Guardsmen in state. Is that like the only stipulation?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it's open to military, DOD, civilian. We're not trying to, we thought about this, over time, and we just said, hey, look, you know
I'm
what?
back. I'm
Open
back.
it. You gotta open. Let's take the rules off of what we do during the regular season. Let's let everybody let their hair down if they got hair, and let the guys do what they want to do, and
Yeah,
team up and play with who they want to play with, because that's important, and so we get a lot of heat
I'm back.
for our rules,
Mm-hmm.
and but now it's we're not just letting you guys, open up and play with who you want. But we're also trying to support you with, lodging and a very low entry fee so that, guys can just come down and have fun, man. That's the goal. Come down and have fun.
Of course, Greg, Cornelius, any questions for the NBA? Y'all are different. Like, I live in the military basketball community now, so I have residents there in a sense. So as you guys, feel free any questions y'all have to the Military Basketball Association. Their top two of the top four.
Well, the only question I have is I was on last week with the rankings and all that stuff. I see you got 8 slots open. Are those slots are the rankings gonna have any effect on those slots?
So first
On
and
those 8
foremost, I'm
slots?
glad you asked that question. The NBA doesn't get. If you want to see our rankings, you can look at the standings on what people actually did on the basketball court. We're not getting into rankings. We don't do rankings. If you just so happen to call Ace in July or when he put it out, if you happen to call him, then you're in. And then here's the thing: if you can't get in as a team, but you want to play, we're not saying, hey, we're going to check your, the only thing we're checking is your military ID card. And so the bottom line is that rankings, all that stuff, at some point in time, we used to get into that, but we can't. You can talk about this team played this team and this person had this person, and these rules are that rules. Did you play that team? If you played that team and you beat that team, then you're better than that team. The only way to find that out is through standings, and so we don't. And because of the way things are geographically located, some of our teams on the West Coast will never play some of our teams on the East Coast because unless they go to a tournament. So there's no way to figure that out. So guess what? Go ahead, win your conference. If we want to compare teams between different conferences, um, you can do that through points for, points against. But as far as us ranking people, we had to get out of that business because you're not going to please everybody. I like I said, I got a lot of respect for what Mike Richardson does down at the NMBT, but I also know how some coaches feel like, hey, I'm here and I'm there. That's not my system, and I'm not going to really comment on it because I don't really poke my head out of the sand because I'm really working trying to build the NBA. I do see the comments. We got a lot of heat last year, not heat, but really just comments about open tournaments. So again, I was challenged. I feel like, and Ace can tell you this was something that I wanted to do from jump, and if y'all want an open tournament, we can do that. We have the flexibility with what we're doing to cater to the need of what these athletes want. And so there's a time and place for it though. So we're saying, all right, cool, we'll do it. We'll do it in Fort Walton Beach. We'll bring partners in to try and blow it up and make it special. Um, and it's for y'all, it's for you guys. So but if we start talking about rankings to try to get into an open tournament, that's kind of crazy. To have rankings to get into an open tournament. um, we wouldn't be able to I mean, because players are going to come from all over the place to play with who they want to play with. So there's no real team specifics unless you have a team out there like that. But we're fine with it. I enjoy watching my timeline. Put it that way.
So I guess I'm very sure Coach Ace, you're going to get you're going to start to get probably a lot of phone calls with people trying to get into this.
Yeah, it's easy peasy. You ain't got a coach. When you start picking up guys, I get to sit on the sideline and watch a good basketball game, because when you start building teams like that, these guys already know how to play basketball. They're just there to, like Mike said, to play with their friends and have a good time. Ain't no coaching necessary. I'm not trying to take credit for that.
So I'm very sure it's going to be definitely going to be one of the same link up with the Forever Warriors to present the Summer League two weekends over a course of 2 months. Once everything is all said and done, a little break, and then another opportunity still to get to be able to evaluate for the people to still come out and be able to evaluate and see
Yep.
these players playing with one another potentially, because they the all service tournament is not too far from that, and so another opportunity to get for exposure in state. I guess when you look at it, all
Yes,
about
sir.
the, as I call it, the armed forces athlete in military basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, I just respect what other people are doing. You know, I respect the fact that, like, you know, I mean, like I said, I see what Mike's doing at NMBT. People might not like it, or they may not say some stuff about it or whatever. But if you're working in that space to, like, promote the game and promote the athletes, then I have to, I'm not going. I'm gonna do no harm. I'm not gonna knock it, right? And that's all we're saying is, hey, look, we're trying to bring in, different organizations to promote athletes. Because in my opinion, I believe that the athletes are going to be the key to kind of, if you promote them and um, you make them larger than life, and role models and examples for what you can do when you serve. I think that's going to change. It changes the game, and so what better way to promote the athletes than to give them a large platform, a huge platform to showcase what they do. And so that's what me and my team are out to do. That's what Ace has been doing with these tournaments that he's been putting on in Atlanta, and in Dallas. And shout out to people that are putting these events on, because that's what's making everything go. But when we do something, we like really, really, really try to do it, and we really try to do it big, like the All-Star game. The All-Star game coming up this year. All the things that are coming up with the NBA in 2024 is phenomenal. Like, so the biggest platform, the biggest stage with the brightest lights. That's what we want to do. We don't, I don't sleep until I'm not going to sleep until all of our games are televised. You
Yeah,
know, so
absolutely, absolutely. Trayvon, and to add on to what Mike is saying, this is just a tournament where the lodging, which is basically one of my biggest responsibilities as the NBA deputy commissioner, is to work alongside Mike to ensure that we get to the platform where we are um, offering the teams that make it to these finals playoffs to offer them an opportunity to have free lodging, to take some of the burden out of their pockets, and them not having to worry about, damn, we gotta fly, we gotta get a rental car, we gotta Uber. Oh, and by the way, we still gotta pay for lodging. So little by little, man, you already know things don't happen overnight, but it's a lot of work being done behind the scene to ensure that when we get to the NBA Finals this year, the qualifying 16 teams don't have to worry about lodging, and that's one of our highest priorities right now. So we will see what happens as we get closer. Some mid-April, we'll be able to tell the teams whether this is going to happen or not. But we are really working hard to make it happen.
So I had a question, but I'm going to save that for another time. But there's a question that's definitely, because there's some things in which y'all just said that was key. But I'm going to save it for another time because it's going to be a really deep dive question at that
And
point.
that's what we're here for. You got me. Listen, I don't come up for air too much. I'm always working.
So okay, let's saying, and please, like I said, Greg, saying, Cornelius, we feel free to jump in, because saying we do how we do on this show is all about platforms and network and all that type of stuff. 100% truth and transparency. When you formulate the ideal for the Military Basketball Association, did you see it in this light? I know saying you came from a different. Again, we was just talking about progressions. So
Yeah.
I know saying you had a mindset of, okay, we all have an idea of what we want something to look like, and then we sometimes get into where it doesn't look like what we want it to look like, and so we have to dial back a little bit and kind of like traverse to a different. So now that you sit back and look at it, I'm very sure you have so much more in mind, especially now that it's at where it is. But from onset, when you first started, did you see it being what it is right now?
I did not. I'm gonna be completely honest. Ace is driving right now, and I think I was at home, and we just, like, Ace was headed back to like Florida because for his mom, and we just started talking, and we were both, look, I had just drove home from NMBT, and we were just trying to figure out, what we could do for military basketball. That's true, right? And we were trying to make it better. I mean, you leave a tournament, and you're like, hey, this tournament could have been better. And so we were just thinking about ways we could, do either another tournament, or do something, that we thought coaches were going to like. And was there some spite in there? Sure. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say there wasn't, but that was like 6 years ago. When you look at the way things are now, listen, I didn't know what Mike and them guys were doing down at I didn't know all the work that it went into to doing a tournament like the one they had in San Antonio. And they just want to have a good tournament, And so that's what we did. We set out to just have a good tournament. But, the officer mentality in me and some of the organizational skills that I have learned from my father, right? I was like, we could really do some damage and really make some noise if we just turn this into a league. I didn't know that we were going to move from a high school to Clune Arena to Denver Metro State twice to Wichita State University Coke Arena to Philly. I didn't know that. I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't think we would get a deal with CBS Sports for our championship game for 3 years. No, I didn't know any of that, and all of that was done in spite of some of the things, or some people that didn't want to see this progress, right? So, no, I did not foresee. I mean, like, you've got the flyer pulled up now. I didn't see us having a summer league tournament with with lodging taken care of. I mean, like, who does that? Like, how does that even happen where you're going to be able to come to a tournament and the lodging is taken care of for the teams that are participating? So, you know, I don't say it was me. I had a team, you know, and for all of us, me, Ace, and Jason and Al, we've been tight from jump. Like, we've all been, you know, we all understand the ultimate goal and the ultimate mission, to just continue growing. And we put in countless hours of work, to make it happen. I was the only one who was on active duty. All the rest of them guys was retired. And we were still, you know, making it happen. So now that I'm retired and I can focus full time on what I'm doing, um, the sky's the limit. And I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I'm trying to make this thing. I'm trying to blow it up, and that's the truth, you know. And I'm trying to take whoever I can with me, to where we're going. But did I see it? Absolutely not. I mean, to the point where I'm having conversations with governors and congressmen and folks like that. No, I did not.
Well, there you have it. And which is like you said, is always that situation is when it starts to moving, and you're gonna get some bumps and bruises down up and down the road, and some things, and people like the old adage, everyone can't go with you in state. And so, uh, but you know, what I'm saying I continue and give kudos to it. When I first saw it and came across it, I was like, this the concept is great, and that's before I even start engaging and speaking with you and getting a little more insight and getting more insight into the military basketball community, all that type of stuff. And
You
which
wait till you hear what I have for you this summer.
I'm always for it.
We talked about it, but it's more. It's about to be a reality. Because you know, if you're not thinking about growing and evolving, um, then you're going to stay stagnant. And
Mhm.
that's why a person like myself, like, I can't ignore the players or the coaches that say, "Hey, you know, we want an open event." You can't ignore that. Like, if that's what players are saying and that's what coaches are saying, you have to listen to them and say, "All right, cool." Now, there's other times where you can say, "Hey, you know, like rankings and stuff like that." I listened and we like it, but then sometimes things just don't make sense for an organization. And we have conferences, we have league play where people play each other. So that's going to get settled on the basketball court. You know that, you know, if you're better than this person, between now and the NBA Finals, we're going to find out. That might be in the championship game, but guess what? We're going to find out who the best team is in the NBA, in the Military Basketball Association. That's going to happen. Eventually, it's going to shake itself out. So, you know, but if players or coaches or folks are saying, "Hey, you know, I don't like this or I don't like that, or I think we could do this better, or I think we could do that better," then absolutely, I think you got to listen to them, because that's the NBA. Like, that's who makes up the NBA, is the coaches and the players. You know, now there's some stuff that are just non-negotiable, like you know, we did, you know, we're not going to have stacked teams in the NBA Finals on playing on CBS Sports, but we'll have the best teams. You know, we're going to have the best teams, in our league, in our association, on the highest platform, on the brightest stage. And I enjoy watching Luke and CMB duke it out. You know, the game before that, you saw it was CMB and Fort Moore in, like, probably the best game of the tournament.
Uh-huh.
Ace had, pulled a doggone rabbit out of his hat, once more. And so you're going to get that in our league, in our association, and we want to grow it. We definitely want to grow it. We want to be appealing to other regions, other teams. Um, when we go into this summer, our way of thinking has got to evolve, and that's just, it has to, and that's a two-way street, right? If we're getting coaches and players a higher platform, then the attitude and the persona and the aura and the actual professionalism of our coaches has to be of, hey, we're going to be on television. People are watching what we do. And so that's also important. Our image, the brand and the image is extremely important. So if you are thinking about trying to join a league, like I said, call Al and Jason, because it's definitely going places. I, there's so much that I could tell you on this show. It would blow everybody's mind about what we're doing. But I've learned that we don't do that now. Now we're very, very deliberate with our messaging and disciplined with our messaging. So if we're telling you there's a summer league tournament and it's $100 and lodging is free, that would mean that Mike and Ace have gone and done the work and have gotten written things and things it's done. Like it's done. So if we're saying that a game is going to be played on CBS Sports, press release is out, it's done. If I say I have a 3-year commitment for something with a network, that means I have that in black and white. And that's what our organization's about. There's no maybe, there's none of that. It's just, hey, we go out, do the work, and then we tell you the rewards in the finish. So, like I said, man, I hope we're doing our part. We're doing our part.
And now all like you said, the players always say, we just want to come and hoop. This is what that seemingly sounds like and looks like. So you can say, of course,
ain't no seemingly. Do your DID card, and you good.
And see, that's all. It's simple. It can't get it. It's so simple. A caveman can pull up and play. All you gotta do is have the DOD ID card. So
valid.
Yeah.
Don't be coming up in there with no ID card that's expired. I don't want to see no temp.
Y'all see it here first. Of course, the open tournament one in July, one in August. Continue to get to play, continue to stretch some legs, continue to work on the craft, pull up with your friends, build the teams and the squads to compete, and get a little hardware walking away from it in true military basketball fashion.
On the beach at that part.
The
hotel, the island resort. You can look it up. You can Google the island resort. It's on the beach.
Yep, in the middle of the summer. In the middle of the summer, you can actually make it a vacation with your family while you're down there.
See, all of it comes together. I love it when the plan goes together. So, of course, y'all feel free. Y'all seen the flyer. Of course, it's going to be posted. I'm very sure in the NBA. Posted on First Formation as well, to where y'all can be able to go check it out and have all the information so y'all can see. For those watching or going to see, be sure to tap in and go see, have conversations, start to formulate your teams now, get as many runs in as you can, so that way you be ready to go by the end of the season.
So Trey, did you get the 8 teams for July already?
Oh, no, I did not. Is 8 teams already for July? Already locked in?
Already locked in. I already talked to all 8 coaches.
Oh, so it's already locked in. So now it's even more of a premium. Now you only can try to go for the get locked in for the next August one. So
absolutely.
So I asked this question, right? If there's not will teams have the opportunity to play in both if their slots are open?
If the slots are open, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're not going to just close it out. Yeah, we'll let somebody else that's able to play in case we can't fill that remaining slot in August with another duplicate team. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. The goal is to have fun, and it might be a totally different team because it's open rosters. So you can come down there with I can come down there with the Denver All-Stars, right? All military, all ID card holders. And then the next month I come down there with the, Dallas All-Stars, right?
Uh-huh.
Same coach. Or it could be a different coach and a bunch of guys come. We're not trying, just what we want guys to do is to have an open tournament, right?
Yeah.
So we're going against what people think we are. We're not saying that we're not against open tournaments, man. We're not against open tournaments. We're just saying there's a time and a place for it, right? When you go into league play, installation play, right? We're changing the narrative, right? We're saying When you compete for the biggest prize that we have, that we got, you're going to be from that military installation community, or you're gonna conform to our rules. That's there's a lot involved in that effort, right? But if guys are saying, hey, we want to play, we just want to play in an open tournament, we do tournaments. We've done in the last 6 years, we've done successfully probably over 40, 45 tournaments, successfully. So when you say, hey, what do? We have the blueprint for running a tournament. We could run a tournament in any city, and pretty soon on in any country. That's what we do. We're a T at that. But now the players are saying we want this particular type of tournament. And what we're saying is, okay, no problem. And oh, by the way, you're going to have a blast when we're going to do it the NBA way.
And a
We're
place
going
to
to blow
stay.
it up. Yep. So,
Yeah.
So, Jen, I'm going to ask you this, right? We're talking about opportunities, championships, and everything like that. What are your selections for this big game coming up? Are you Team Chiefs or Team Niners?
I am Team Chiefs. I
I don't
live,
care. It could either go either way for me. Because as you see, my team was embarrassed.
but I
That's right
want
there
Brock
with you.
Purdy to have a good game so he can just shut Cam Newton up. I really do.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I want Brock Purdy to have a great game because when he was on that stage, man, he played terrible, man.
Correct.
He played terrible. He can't say nothing about playing in the Super Bowl. Just stop. I'm just saying that right now. He can't say nothing about playing in the Super Bowl because I don't even know. He was an empty suit. He had other people dabbing on him. That's crazy. When you got Von Miller dabbing on you after a sack, fumble, touch, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk about the Super Bowl. You can talk about any other game, but don't talk about the Super Bowl. Don't talk about. As a matter of fact, you just shouldn't say anything about that. Brock Purdy has been playing phenomenal. So just call it what it is, man. I like Patrick Mahomes. He's Steph Curry playing on the Kansas City Chiefs,
Uh-huh.
but and I think they're going to win it because I think their defense is going to win the day. But I don't believe that Brock Purdy had an MVP type season,
Mm-hmm.
and Cam Newton shouldn't say not one word about him, man. Just stop it. Let the guy shine, man.
So I ask our guys this, and it could go across all spectrum of sports. How much weight does MVP carry? Because of course Cam is a former league MVP. How much weight does that carry, or championships? I.e., because I sit up and last night I begrudgingly watched the Lakers get handled on Kobe Day and the unveiling of the statue, and then as I watched inside the NBA message, but as I watch inside the NBA, I listened to Shaquille O'Neal try to shut Charles Barkley down. Is Chuck don't have no championships. So when we talk about analysts and perceptions and perspectives and perceptions, how much weight does MVP and championships carry when in those conversations?
I, I I'll say this: it's a lie.
Okay.
You can be the coach of the year. I was coach of the year, right? I got my butt handed to me by John Morgan at the Central in the
Mm-hmm.
conference, right? I didn't win it, right? When you win, you automatically become validated. It doesn't matter what level or whatever. If you're the last person standing at the end of a season, at the end of a tournament, at the end of a league, nobody cares about MVP. I don't want to make the all tournament team, right? Who wants to do that? I want the big trophy. I want the one that says, nobody knows about back to back, even at the NMBT, right? Back to back, right? That's the goal. The goal is to win. And I've seen Shaq talking about Charles, man. Charles is a great player. He was a great player. He played in the NBA Finals one time, right? And he didn't win it. He did not win. And when you don't win, it's like, did you do? You left something on the table. And what do people always say about Charles Barkley? Overweight, didn't want to work hard, didn't want to do this, didn't want to do that, got tired, didn't do what it takes to win. That's the that's the biggest problem, I think, with what I see with Cam Newton. You played in the game. You were an NFL MVP, but you couldn't close the deal. Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, all of them, man. If you're gonna play in the game, the big game, yo, you got to come out there and perform, man. You got to, and if you're a coach, you got to be the one that makes sure your guys are prepared for that moment to perform. That's just the way it is. And if you're not ready for prime time, get off the stage.
Cornelius, Greg, y'all following it up? Any follow ups?
So I guess I ask. With that being said, do you think Mahomes gonna get another Super Bowl MVP? I mean, because they do have those MVPs. Who y'all think will be the Super Bowl MVP?
Mahomes, easy.
I say Mahomes as well. He's going to turn up. He's going to show up. It's the big night. He is that type of person that brings it when it's time to close the deal.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And that would be his third Super Bowl MVP, and that's very rare air.
Yep.
He has a shot to catch Tom Brady, and he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Period. You can say it's somebody else. You can say it's Lamar Jackson. If it was Lamar Jackson, he'd be playing in the Super Bowl. Sorry, and I am a Ravens fan. People really didn't know this. I don't think I think maybe, but I was like heartbroken. But I was just like, man, how are you gonna just come out there? We used to seeing you run touchdowns and do everything and beat a Michael Jordan of football, and you let Mahomes do you like? I mean, come on, man. You got outplayed. They got outplayed, and then their play calling was trash. Look, I ain't flashback. My bad.
We on it, but that's true.
So, of course, something a little more in y'all's area, and maybe we end up going back to more because, of course, we know Super Bowl is this week. And first and foremost, I would say that I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be the MVP along with the champions. It's in his DNA, and we'll see it all come out. But that's neither here nor there. So, looking at what just happened in the landscape of basketball with the movements and everything like that, nothing huge in the look. So I looked at some of the movements yesterday, the transactions, players being moved from here to here, in which the ones that stood out to me the most is the movement of Bogdanovich over to the Knicks, to where now he's going to be over there with Julius Randle, which at first I was like, that's bigs on the block, but let's be honest, they're stretch bigs and they're not bangers. So it's going to make a difference. But what I think is going to be the most precise movement is going to really add something to the team is the movement. Only if they play like they have in the past, or an inkling of that, is the movement of Gordon Hayward to OKC to now be a veteran presence and someone that can come off the bench and fill it up. Those are my opinions. Was there anything that stood out to y'all yesterday once everything was all said and done?
You just mentioned a name that I haven't heard in a while.
Correct.
And that's Gordon Hayward. He was tough back in the day.
Correct.
Can he do that again in OKC? I don't know. I mean, movements always happen just before the trade deadline. It kind of sucks for like NBA families, kind of like the military. You got to move and pick up and go someplace, but it's a part of the business. I mean, I'm glad that we don't have no trade deadline in the NBA.
Yeah, it's hard. It's kind of hard. I talked about that during the polls. Talking to Timo and them. But yeah, okay, no trades currently. Yes.
Oh my God, man! If we had trades and stuff like that, and I'm not saying that like one day we don't have like actually franchise teams, but man, folks would lose their mind, man. They'd lose their mind. It'd be, can you imagine? Fort Moore picks up a free agent, from such and such, and he's in his option year and all that. I mean,
now because it's part of the retention. Like, hey, I want to
yeah,
go to.
retention. He done signed a $40,000 bonus, and he is now headed to Fort Moore. And you got A sitting in the background, smiling, cheesing because he done got like some 6'10" forward. And he got the Fort Moore step and repeat manner in the background.
Man, the day that starts happening in the NBA, man, we don't come a long way.
We done come a long way. But you know what? We say that, but it was a joke. We were talking about playing on ESPN or playing on CBS Sports like 3 or 4 years ago. And now
Here we are.
it's like happening. Like here we are, playing on a nationally televised network, right? So I don't know. I mean, that's really more an Al and Jason question about free agents. But I think it would be fun, man. I listen. All of this stuff, sports in general, is fun. Like even the conversation we're having about Kansas City and San Francisco on the eve of the Super Bowl, right? Man, sports is just uniting. It's what everybody loves, and I think that's what's waking me up every single morning. That's why I flew to Philadelphia, drove to New York, about to go to Fort Hamilton in New York to go check out some stuff, and take some pictures and do some recon, because I just love putting events where they're not. Like nobody plays basketball in New York. Like military basketball. When the last time you heard a military basketball tournament in New York? And I was trying to get the Rucker, but they were like, it's too busy. But the bottom line is nobody does that. So if no one's done something and we can be the first to do it, then we're doing it. Like Puerto Rico, that's going to be a blast, man. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be phenomenal. Philadelphia. When the last time you heard a military basketball tournament in Philadelphia? Like people just don't play up here. They just don't. So it's fun. It keeps me going. But this show keeps me going too, man. I see y'all on here talking all the time.
Love it.
And sometimes the comments I be seeing on my timeline, the comments are just they're wild, man. And I it's great for the game. I think I told Mike Richardson, maybe I told him 6 months ago. I even think I told CL this. I said, our rivalry, our differences were the best thing that could have ever happened to military basketball. And I truly do mean that. And I mean it because, I see what NMBT was putting out, and they got rankings, and then NMBT got championship rings. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got to step my game up. We got to do something. We got to do this. We got to be bigger. We got to be bigger. And then I see some of the things that Mike does just for like, just get people talking about Mike, to get people talking about NMBT, and it's cool. I can't knock it because that's the same shit that we try to do, that we do, right? We go about it maybe a little bit different, but come like 2017, 18, that was just it's a rivalry. There's no rivalry now. I don't care. I mean, I could go down there and support what he does. I hope one of these days that they'll come up and support what we do. But the ultimate goal right now is people are talking about military basketball like they never have before. And so when you see things like all armed forces and people are, they're broadcasting things, and it's like golf, or it's, you know, wiffle ball or something crazy like that. And they're not talking about these military athletes. Okay, I'll do it. No problem. I'll do it. You want a live stream? We'll do it. We'll live stream. We'll do it. That's what Jason said, 6 years ago. So sometimes great things come out of rivalries and I like it. I'm cool with it.
Hey,
But
Mike,
I just
I saw
love them. I love them. I love them comments, man.
Mike. Can I interrupt real quick,
Yeah, go ahead.
Trayvon?
Go ahead.
Before I forget, I just want to two things. So number one, I just want to shout out to T Morris down there at CMAC. He's doing a great job. I monitor their page pretty closely, doing a great job with the
Yep.
standings, and really he's put some professionalism to that league down there, and it's some good stuff. And with that being said, tonight is a big game at 7 p.m. Central between Eglin Air Force Base and Herbert Field.
Mm-hmm.
If Herbert Field happens to pull it off, I think they will tie for first place in the CMAC, unless the point differential comes out in their favor. They'll be the overall number one seed down there. But if if Eglin can pull it off at Herbert Field, then it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. So I just definitely wanted to put that out. Great job down there by T Morris and the CMAC teams, and a big game tonight at 7 p.m. Central at Herbert Field between those two organizations.
Of course, T Morris, appreciate that greatly. And then, of course, it still gives him, in which he has been created an onslaught, a barrage of comments towards Lackland. But
Yeah, we've been watching. It's been entertaining. It's been
It
entertaining.
is. It's all fun.
It is. It's been crazy listening, watching T Morris just, go at it, talking about the number one game to watch at the Classic. It's gonna be
It's gonna be.
Lackland and Seymour. I literally, I was like, oh my gosh, I was speechless. I was like, and then I think Tate came on and was like, who pissed you off at Lack? I mean,
Yeah,
and,
it's
but again, it's just entertaining, man. It's
yeah.
it's healthy entertainment. Like,
Correct. Yeah.
nobody's saying, anything personal or demonstrative about anybody on any of those teams, or going after them personally, or trying to screw their career over or anything like that. It's just healthy humor, man. And like I said, I love it. I be seeing what he be putting out about who the committee is on
Yeah.
some of this stuff
Yeah,
is
he's
crazy,
funny,
man. I'd be like, it's creative though. It's very creative, and I can appreciate it.
And it's like you said, it's all for the games. And like you said, there's no one's putting down anyone. To my standpoint, some of it is factual for the most part. Is factual for the most part, to where and I can say factual, but it does give some it does give a perspective too, of course, when you look at the rankings and things of that nature. So when he points out, but of course Hollins gets on and he states his case and let it be known. So it's all good and fun. So it's definitely one of those things where it plays out, and in-state is going to play out. They get to make a statement with a victory tonight for Eglin, in which he can continue on and then wait for the Capital Classic to see what it is that that Lackland does, and go from there. So I can't wait to see and hear about it for the most part. So lastly, and real quick, Commissioner Myers, I know you are a huge Kobe fan. And yesterday, as I said, it was Kobe Day. one of 3 immortalizations for in reference to Kobe Bryant was unveiled yesterday. His how he walked off the 81-point game. So I actually have 2 questions, which is a question I asked: how long before Kobe's 81 record is gone, and what did you think about? And whichever one, I'm pointing to Mr. Commissioner Myers because I know he's a huge Kobe fan. But how long before the 81 record falls with the onslaught of scoring that's going on? And what did you think of the unveiling of that particular statue that was immortalizing Kobe?
So, one, I was traveling when I found out that Kobe Bryant passed away, so it was very deep to me. I then had a conversation with Rick Barry, and it was, you know, it was a huge loss, man, and still not over it, right? The unveiling of the statue, yeah, it's emotional because we're talking about a true Laker fan, diehard Laker fan, and it's an emotional time. I do think that the 81-point record is going to get. I do believe it'll fall in the next year or two because these guys are phenomenal scorers. I mean, you had guys that someone scored like 73, 77. I thought I saw someone score 79.
Yeah.
And so I do believe that defense is a little differently today versus when Kobe scored 81, and then even when Wilt scored 100. It's just different. Wilt scored 100, but he was like half a foot, maybe a foot taller than everybody, right? But people underestimate just how strong Wilt Chamberlain really was. Wilt stood next to Shaq, and it wasn't that much of a big difference between them. He wasn't a stilt. Wilt Chamberlain was a freaking man-child, and he was a hell of an athlete. So people say, "Oh, well, he would have never done that today." Well, people weren't playing like they were playing back then. The skill sets were different, but I do believe that if Wilt was alive today, he would be a freakish athlete that could do. He would adapt to this league's level of play. But he was a monster. So could Kobe do it? Sure. Is someone going to break his 81 record? Yep. It'll happen in the next year or two because, that's what these youngsters do, man. It's about breaking records. Records are made to be broken.
Anyone else, Greg? Do you believe the same thing? A year time frame?
Yeah. Somebody's going to end up breaking it. The NBA today, nobody plays defense.
No.
So, and with people that are so talented, Luka, Embiid, he had a 70-point game. So with that much talent that's in the league now, and then combine that with teams not wanting to play defense, somebody's going to end up getting. Somebody might even get close to the 100 one day. So,
and Cornelius, I think we talked about it. You foresee it in the same time frame, a year?
Oh yeah. If not before the season over with, somebody gonna probably hit the 81 mark for sure. Like I said, it's too much talent right now, and not enough defense being played by any teams. But I had a question before we get out of here. I want to ask, what did you guys think about? That whole Milwaukee Buck thing with this Doc Rivers? Like, how is that panning out? Like this whole Doc Rivers thing, man, because
they trash right now. Let's just say it. They're trash right now. And they got rid of a coach that had them on the second in the league Since Doc has taken over, they're 5th in the division. I mean, in the conference now. I understand the meshing and all that type of stuff, but that's a good question, Cornelius. So yes, please, I'm interested in hearing this.
You can't expect a coach to come in mid-season. He hasn't gotten his guys. Doc Rivers is inheriting whatever was going to happen to
Okay.
that team. So they may have been number 2, but they were headed for number whatever they are right now, right?
Okay.
So but let's don't ever get it twisted. Like Doc Rivers he's an NBA champion coach.
Correct.
Is there anyone still in the organization that's won an NBA championship with the Milwaukee Bucks that's coaching right now, that's on the coaching staff?
I don't think so.
Probably not. Doc Rivers coached Kevin Durant, Kevin Garnett, right? Rajon Rondo, Paul Pierce, right? Big Baby, right? All those guys, he coached them. So I think they're like 1-4, 1-5, or something like that since he came on board.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's Doc Rivers used to be at the Clippers? I mean, I think as a player and a coach. So I mean, this ain't new for him. You can't judge a man by his first 1 or 2 weeks in a franchise. I think he'll turn it around, but just got to give him a little bit of slack. You can't. That's not fair to just say, hey, they're trash after 5 games or 6 games. Now, if he finishes the season like that, they might want to reevaluate some stuff. But even if he finishes the season, if he has a full off season and they're trash, then yeah, that wasn't a good move.
So you know what? Actually, this is where I would like to go in it. So going back into football, right? In which it was Commissioner Myers just said what he said. It kind of like brung back the thought of it. So the Jets owner, Jets owner Woody Johnson has came out and basically said that if Coach Robert Saleh and the GM don't get it right, they're gone. He's like, the only thing they're looking at right now is the playoffs. They should be a playoff team. And not to mention that I ain't gonna say maybe insult to injury. He has also said that he greatly values and they're digesting as a front office, i.e., his executive level front office are digesting the comments from none other than Aaron Rodgers on what he thinks about the build of the team is. What does that do? Of course, Coach Ace, Commissioner, have been coaches on a high level. If you have that type of pressure hanging over your head, are you able to perform properly, knowing that any little thing can potentially end your current status as a coach? Like, what's that?
I just say it's definitely a lot of pressure. I wouldn't want that pressure because it takes away from your focus on what you're trying to do with the team. Because, like you just said, any little thing that happens in the game is you're walking on pins and needles. You're like, I'm not even gonna make it out of this game right here, or it's you're gonna be gun shy. You're not gonna want to be around the management because you're still trying to get it right. You're still trying to build that culture in that team, and here you are worrying about the wrong things that are going to happen anyways in any basketball team, whether it's a good team or a bad team. So it's definitely a lot of pressure I wouldn't like to have.
So I had that pressure at one installation in particular, the one I had the most success at. So I won't name no names or anything, but it sucks. It absolutely sucks. It sucks if you feel like if you do something that you have no idea what you're doing, you're just trying to coach basketball, that you're going to get removed as a coach. You should never have to operate in that type of environment, right? Or you might not have a program anymore, or your program is going to get shut down. I will say that, in my opinion, Listen, and I told people, I told them when I got there, this is what you get. If you ask Coach Myers to come to your program, you're going to get the physical therapist. You're going to get the 30 minutes of no touching the basketball before practice. You're going to get the social media. You're going to get, the interviews. You're going to get D1 practice visits. I'm giving you the whole nine. I'm giving you the program. It's what you're going to get. Okay. All right, cool. That's it. I don't need no help. Don't tell me, don't come around trying to figure out, what I can do or whatever, or how you can, if you hire me to coach as a volunteer on active duty, you get, and I delivered. You walk to that place, and two of them right there, right? So at that point, get off my back. I don't need to be worried about, you replacing me or whatever. Like, I have a resume. You don't have to threaten me to do whatever. If you tell me this is what you'd like to see, then I can take it into consideration. But if I'm hired to do a job, I don't need to feel like my job's going to get taken away from me because I didn't talk to a certain person, or I didn't know that this person was beefing with this person, and so I needed to be careful about what I say, because I'm not like that. I'm gonna say what I have to say. So,
Of course,
yeah.
it's Greg and Cornelius. What do you think about now, Cornelius? I remember we had a conversation, and your rhetoric was that that's probably what's going to happen. And now here it is, they do it. But then, like I said, coming back to it, another situation is happening where the player, although it's not like NFL, the player's perspective and engagement on the teams is completely different from that in the NBA. But seemingly, I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers, who has the ear of the owner, in which now it's like that adds pressure. Like, what I'm saying, Aaron Rodgers is pretty boisterous and pretty loud, and trying to speak his own mind. So, looking at this, like I said, Cornelius, you said that Robert Salah was on thin ice, in which I said that you can't take in consideration that they had Zach Taylor there, and that wasn't his fault. That was the GM's fault. But now they're both in the hot seat, and not to mention the owner has specifically mandated. These were the words in the text. Mandated that Robert Salah pays attention to the offense strictly, because that's where the owner sees the problem is on the offense. So
I told you before, I'm gonna say it one more time. It's the New York Jets. The owner, you see what the owner doing? It's just like the commissioner was just saying. It's just like a coach was just saying down there. Man, he adding pressure that don't need to be added. So he a part of the problem, not a part of the solution. But I told you about the Salah, his job was going to be up, because this is what the Jets do. Like, you got to understand Woody, the owner, this is not his first time doing this to coaches, putting this kind of pressure on a coach, where it's like, hey, you saw I didn't have my starting quarterback. We made these moves, but they made those moves as an organization. They, it's from ownership to the coaches. They made those moves. And it didn't pan out. So now he got to put the blame. So owner not gonna blame himself. You never hear Jerry Jones say, I messed up with the personnel, right? Or I did this wrong. It's always gonna be somebody else. So it's gonna fall on the head coach.
Yeah, the Jets are the most dysfunctional franchise in the league. But now Salah's hopes and the GM's hopes are all on a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers that's past his prime. And Aaron Rodgers hasn't won nothing in going on 13 years. So, yeah, Robert Saleh and the GM, they're not going to have jobs next year.
Sad. But Aaron Rodgers is going to have a job.
Oh, yeah.
He is. At least for another year or so.
Yeah. And that's the point. That's the point is you went out and got a $50 million quarterback. And now you got $50 million problems.
Yep.
And then they're giving him the platform. The owner is giving him the platform in which they're saying they're digesting it and seeing what it is and how it is. So if it doesn't line up with that of the coach, then it's going to start to play out in that manner, and now you're going to have an issue, bigger issue, which presumably, like I said, again, is different. It's a different animal when it comes to the NBA. When you talk about it, like we see it, and people tend to think that LeBron controls the organization. They hear him and they pay attention to him, I believe, but I don't think he controls the organization or has controlled the organization.
Yeah, he controls the organization.
Right.
LeBron, man. It's LeBron, man.
And a little bit it's somewhat part of the
He's
NBA
controlled
itself.
every organization. Yeah, he's controlled every organization he's ever been at.
Oh yeah.
What you saying?
I would say somewhat some of the league too. LeBron got a lot of say in the league too. We learned that with the pandemic and stuff like that. You know, those young players were saying that they didn't agree with playing, but you know, King James got his way. You know what I'm saying? Remember the young players? They were saying, "Hey, we don't like this. We don't want to play." But then they said, "Hey, King James got his way anyway." So you know, he got some input all the way around, even with the league.
Yeah.
So I greatly appreciate having y'all all on today and having this conversation. We jumped around, you know what I'm saying, Chicago, Minneapolis, LA for a second, but you know what I'm saying, in-state, it was all conversation. Some good information put out today, was able to get an announcement from the NBA. We got there's a summer league for military basketball, so you can pull up with almost minimum to a minimum cost in for the most, basically it's a minimum cost. So that's I'm very sure that's going to be great. You have a situation when people ask for something, now it's being presented. Let's see how much opportunity. Now 8 slots available because it's already the first portion of that July has already been filled up. So 8 slots for it to get in here. We had a conversation. We got 4-1. I love those odds. Bang bang, Niner gang is all I can say. To where it is, and I'm going to be there. And as I was saying, having a conversation, I said, if the 49ers lose, I'm going to be drugged, just like that was the possibility if we would have lost to Green Bay or if we would have lost to Detroit, in which we did not. And here we are, last game of the season, the rematch again from 2019. All I hear is Freddy Cougars. I don't believe in fairy tales, kid. So I'm ready. We ready for it. You know what I'm saying? To see it. I know the Swifties is going to be out. You know what I'm saying? Y'all heard what Jay-Z said the other night on the Grammys. And that's, you know what I'm saying? And I'll leave it at that. So, of course, before we get out here, gentlemen, any of y'all, all y'all have platforms or some or have something that's going on. So feel free to put out to those that's going to see this or watching what's going on or what you got going on, and any last words.
Yeah, you guys can check out my Chiefs podcast, Red Kingdom, tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central on All Sports All Plays network. We're gonna dive into the game and how the Chiefs can beat the Niners and how they can bring out the real Brock Purdy on Sunday, and not let him off the hook as the other two teams did. So we're definitely gonna have fun with that tomorrow. So Red Kingdom tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central Time, All Sports, All Plays Network.
Shout out, my man Jay Ness. Coach Ace, deputy of the NBA, deputy commissioner of the NBA. You muted again, Ace.
You muted.
I sent you the team names on the chat. Can you see them?
Let me see.
This is those were for the 12 to 14 July tournament.
Oh, it hasn't came in yet.
Okay, so I'll just give them to you now. So it's
Yes,
Fort Moore, Eglin Air Force Base, Herbert Field,
okay,
Tyndall Air Force Base, Jacksonville NAS, East Tennessee Military Basketball, the Bliss Boys from El Paso, and coming in last, the Joint Base Myers Henderson Hall, coached
Okay.
by Coach Red. Those are your
Okay.
8 teams for the July tournament.
So that should be make for some good ball playing.
Yep. We got
So
a little
look
bit.
for
We got a little bit of Central mix, Waymac mix, CMAC mix, and we got one team that we squeezed in from the Central.
CU, yes, for the CUSMB. Okay. Last but not least, of course, my trusted cohort, Cornelius. What's popping?
Man, just check out the book, Moments of Intimacy on the Amazon platform. Karuin, we coming this year, and I should be back on the radio here soon. The Stimulate Your Mind show will be back on probably next month. But as it gets closer, I'll let y'all know all the details.
Okay, no doubt. So, of course, we greatly appreciate everyone tapping in today. Look forward for more opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Seek back. We might run it back depending on. I was supposed to have an appointment on Monday, but I was like, I can't follow up the Super Bowl with not doing anything. We can't do that. It would be so unfair. So, of course, you know where to find us come Monday, right here discussing and talking about everything that's going to be going on. And going further. Right before we go, Commissioner Myers, final word, sir.
Oh, hey, no, just thanks, Trey, for letting us come on and announce the show. Shout out to T Morris. He is doing great things down in the CMAC. And then, obviously the reason we're here is because the summer tournament is doing well. Shout out to the Philadelphia VA. I'm here planning for the NBA finals in Philadelphia. Great stuff happening within the NBA across the country. And next week I'll be out at Camp Pendleton for the Chris Crawford tournament out there. So just lots of great things happening in military basketball, and I really appreciate the platform. Thanks to Greg and Cornelius. You guys are good, and you guys have a safe Super Bowl weekend.
Greatly appreciate that. Of course, like I said, military basketball next week, the Crawford Classic as well as the Capital Classic, 2 different coasts, same type of ball playing. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend. Peace.